Hello and welcome to Bloomberg Quint. We are here to wrap all the market action for you. The Nifty continued to consolidate even today, hovering around that 8800 level, a trend that we've really seen in the whole of last week as well. So it opened above 8800, saw some profit booking at higher levels and managed to end about 11 points higher, lifted by positive European cues. So after the European markets opened, the Nifty was able to recover its intraday lows. But we're seeing further writing in options, Agam, given that the Nifty is consolidating.
Absolutely. It's been a very quiet day today when it comes to the derivatives market. We really haven't seen too much except for a little bit of writing in the puts such as your 8800 and your 8700 index puts specifically. With respect to your futures, well, we have seen a little bit of a change, but once again, I'm going to wait for the fine print to determine whether or not this was towards the long or the short side, especially given the fact that the Nifty has ended more or less on a flattish note. So not too much to speak for when it comes to activity in the futures and options space.
Well, on the Nifty index, you had Eicher Motors and Yes Bank sitting on gains of close to 3%. Tata Power, Kotak Mahindra Bank were also witnessing gains of nearly 2%. Infosys ended about 1.6% higher, even as co-founder Narayan Murthy called off the battle with the board. On the other hand, Bank of Baroda was the key laggard, down as much as 10.5% after missing Q3 estimates. In fact, the entire PSU bank index was trading in the red. That index was down nearly 3% after Bank of Baroda missed estimates and government's plans of Indradhanush version 2 really failed to cheer those state-owned lenders. On the other hand, when it comes to earnings, Motherson Sumi, Britannia, both of them beating analyst estimates, but the stocks reacting in a completely different direction.
Absolutely. So let's talk about Motherson Sumi first. We have seen good growth in revenues of around 12.5% there. Profits also beating street expectations, and this time around, once again, it is Pegiform as well as Reflectech which is driving the revenues. But the reason why we have seen a dip in Motherson Sumi is also because, well, the stock is to a certain extent richly priced, because its price to earnings, considering in annualized earnings per share estimate for the 2017 financial year, stands at around, well, 35-36 times, which could be considered as expensive by a lot of investors. That's also the reason why we have seen a little bit of a dip. But on the whole, it's been a steady set of numbers for Motherson Sumi. Britannia, once again, we all knew it was going to be a tepid quarter. We've seen about 5% growth in its revenues, but 6% growth again in its profitability, and of course a contraction of 200 basis points in its gross margins on account of input costs and the increase in there. And well, but given the fact that it has beaten street expectations when it comes to profitability, that's the reason why we saw the stock ending with gains of over 1%. But on the whole, well, I would say steady set of numbers, both beating street expectations on both the counts.
But even when it comes to the mid-caps, the market breadth wasn't really positive. We're seeing more losers rather than gainers.
Right, it certainly was a very discouraging market breadth. So we have, well, about nearly two gainers for, well, about 3 or 4 losers. So let's take a look at what's happened in the broader markets. We have SRF, which has declined by as much as 9.7%. That's followed by Indocount Industries. Unitex also fallen by 6.8%. Nitin Fire, IFC, as well as PTC India, all declining by as much as well over 6%. Ruchi Soya has joined hands with Patanjali, and that's the reason why it's hit an upper circuit of 20%. It's followed by Greenply Industries. Suzlon has come up with a very good set of earnings, because of which it moved up by as much as 4%. Eros International, IFL Holding, as well as Exide Industries, all gaining anywhere between 3 to 4%. But it has been a, well, relatively disappointing day when it comes to broader markets and specifically, the depth. So, well, but what are we keep an eye on going in?
Agam, again, you have those big Nifty earnings tomorrow, Tata Motors and Sun Pharma's what we're watching. That apart, we also have Vedanta, DLF, Voltas, and the recently listed BSE Limited. We have the January CPI, the retail inflation numbers that will be reported today. Bloomberg consensus stands at 3.24% versus 3.41% that we saw in the month of December. Having said that, this time around the numbers will not really be very important. The markets will not be tracking them that closely, considering that RBI stance has already been changed to neutral from accommodative. So this time around probably it will be the first time that people won't really be micro dissecting the numbers very closely. But for more updates, continue to stay tuned into BloombergQuint.com. But that's all from us for today's edition. Thank you for watching.